All right, the latest drop for EA College Football 25 is the top 100 players in the game. And we're going to go by position and just talk through it. See if if the developers got it right, or maybe who they snubbed out, if you will. So do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe if you like college football and Madden content. That's what we're going to be grinding on all offseason here on this channel. But all right, let's look at the top 10 overall players in the game. First thing you'll notice here is that there is no player that is ranked 99 or 100. The highest ranked player in the game has the rating of 96. So I kind of like that. In Madden, a lot of players get to 99. It's actually really easy to upgrade players to get to 99. So I like that it's a little bit more realistic here in college football. But the number one overall player is Will Johnson, the cornerback out of Michigan. Obviously a big part of their championship run last year. You got other names that a lot of us probably know, like, Ollie Gordon. I'll be honest, I really like Ollie Gordon, but I was kind of shocked that he is the third overall ranked player in the entire game. I mean, I guess it makes sense because last year he had the most rushing yards in college football. No one had more. He had over 1,700, and he had the second most rushing touchdowns, only behind Blake Corum, who's now out of the game. So I guess it makes sense. I mean, we know in college football games how important the run game is in college football games. So I guess I can see where they're coming from. Now, the sixth ranked player is Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter is the sixth ranked player. And I don't know if you know this, but they got him at the wide receiver position. I bet in the game they're going to let you be flexible, play him at cornerback, play him at wide receiver. I just thought that was interesting that he's the number one overall wide receiver. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but we got a lot of Big Ten guys in the top 10. 1, 2, 3, 4 Big Ten names. It's Big Ten, SEC mostly that takes up the top 10 names. But let's look at position by position. So the top quarterbacks in the game, the number one ranked quarterback is Carson Beck at 93 overall, and he's actually tied with Shedeur Sanders. Carson Beck played really well last year. I mean, he completed, 72% of his passes. He's a very accurate, player, good game manager, if you will. Didn't throw a lot of touchdowns, but that's kind of like the Georgia offense. Third in passing yards. He's just a really smart quarterback in college football right now. Shedeur Sanders being number two. Personally, I don't hate it. I know it's really easy to hate on Shedeur Sanders. He flashes the watch when he's beating a 1-6 Arizona State team last year. Just all the antics online. It's easy to hate Shedeur Sanders. I get it, but I actually think he's a pretty decent player, and he outshined a really terrible situation last year. A lot of people won't realize this, but he was pressured the second most of any quarterback in college football. The offensive line at Colorado was booty cheeks. So if you're going to take over Colorado in this game, you better be, recruiting offensive linemen for Shedeur Sanders this year, or maybe even the transfer portal. But yeah, only one other quarterback in the entire thing of college football had more defensive pressures. You got Dylan Gabriel, who transferred from Oklahoma to Oregon. Oregon's got a squad in this game. Then Quinn Ewers. I like that Jalen Milroe's up here. He actually has 91 speed. So I like to see Jalen Milroe up there because, yeah, he might not translate to the NFL, but he's kind of like the ideal college football game quarterback. Dual threat guy that you can obviously run the ball really well with and, can still, chuck the ball all over the field. Jalen Daniels, who's had a ton of injuries, is here. Jackson Dart, who I also like. And then Kadon Salter as well from Liberty. So getting a little respect for Liberty. Let's go on to the halfbacks. Okay. I don't mind Ollie Gordon being number one. He wouldn't be my number one running back in the game. I'll be honest with you guys. If you were to say who's your number one running back in college football right now, for me, that would be Ashton Jeanty. They got Ashton Jeanty all the way down at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They got Ashton Jeanty as the 8th ranked running back in the game. I don't understand that. I mean, Ashton Jeanty was on a different level last year. He had the second best PFF grade, if that matters to you. He was great yards after contact per attempt, great through contact for Boise State, forced a bunch of missed tackles per attempt. And more importantly, the guy was ridiculously good through the air. I mean, he had almost 600 receiving yards as a running back, 44 receptions. I mean, Ashton Jeanty is a freaking weapon, like an Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones type beat of player. So to me, I think he's the best running back in college football right now. But I don't mind him not being number one, but all the way down there, that just felt a little disrespectful. But they've got Quinshon Judkins ahead of Travion Henderson. But man, Ohio State's going to have a 93 and 95 overall running back in their backfield. So good luck trying to stop Ohio State's offense in this game. I'm kind of surprised Jay Knott was all the way up there at third overall ranked running back. Not to say that like he's not like worthy of being there, but I will be honest with you, it was a little bit surprising to me. I mean, he had over 1,300 rushing yards last year, but 5.3 yards per attempt in the Pac-12. You know, now Cal's in the ACC, which, by the way, that doesn't make any sense. How is California in the Atlantic Coastal Conference? Conferences are a joke now. I hate what they've done to the beautiful game we love. But anyway, I was a little bit surprised. I like Omarion Hampton, Omarion Seabreeze, Devin Neal. Devin Neal's such a fun player, man. He's so explosive. He's got to have like a nasty juke. They don't show juke on here just yet, but I bet you that guy might have the best juke in the game. I like Taj Brooks out of Texas Tech. Damian Martinez is there. He transferred from Oregon State. Donovan Edwards, I'll be honest, Donovan Edwards, I don't think should be in the 90s. I know they did, some gameplay with him and everything. But to be honest, Donovan Edwards was one of the worst running backs in college football last year. I mean, the dude was really awful. I mean, he was 142nd in yards per attempt. His PFF grade was 147th. He was terrible through contact, barely forced any missed tackles. He didn't have many explosive plays. In the playoffs, he was a different guy, but I don't know, like 91 for what Donovan Edwards gave you last year, that was some of the worst running back play in college football. No disrespect intended. It's just true. Like, so no disrespect meant. But Kyle, I always say his name wrong. Monangai is a really underrated player as well. So, look, I don't really mind this. I just think Ashton Jeanty should have been higher. Like, I think you should put Jeanty at least in the top 3, in my personal opinion. And cool little thing that they allow you to do here on the website is you can compare players. So what I did is I tried to compare Judkins, Henderson, and Jeanty, 3 of my favorite guys. And you can see in some of these stats, they've got Jeanty, who has the better acceleration, the better strength, the better awareness. But Henderson has got better jumping, better speed than any of these guys. And overall rating, Judkins, I guess, is just a more well-rounded player. By the way, that helmet is kind of clean for Boise State. I like that helmet right there. I haven't seen that very often. But anyway, let's move on to the wide receiver position here. All right, so I got a bone to pick a little bit, just a little bit. Travis Hunter, the number 1 wide receiver in college football. Look, I like Travis Hunter. I don't dislike Colorado. I kind of like the story, but the number 1 wide receiver in college football, like for real, he had 720 yards last year. He wasn't that good as a yak receiver either. Like, he's a 5-star recruit, insane talent, but to put him as a number 1 rated receiver in the game? Am I missing something? Is this like his overall as a cornerback and they just put him at wide receiver to create this controversy so we're all talking about it? If so, props to you, EA. But yeah, it's got to be Luther Burden or Tet McMillan, in my opinion. Luther Burden out of Missouri, dude's an absolute freaking monster. Last year, had 1,200 receiving yards. I mean, was incredible in every analytic. 7th in yards per route run. Caught over 56% of his contested catches. I mean, he's just like a Jamar Chase level talent. And Tet McMillan is tied with him at 94 overall. I love Tet McMillan out of Arizona. 90 receptions last year, almost 1,400 yards. He's an absolute dog. A little bit like Drake London out of USC. Emeka Egbuka, I freaking love Emeka Egbuka. I thought he was going to go into the NFL draft last year, but I'm glad because he's in this game. I really, really love that. And Tez Johnson's an underrated name. I'm glad they put some respect on Tez. Tez was like low-key one of the better receivers that nobody talked about last year because they had Troy Franklin. But Tez Johnson at Oregon last year, 86 receptions, over 1,100 yards, 10 touchdowns. He caught 81% of his passes, like ridiculous. So good after the catch, really high yards per route run. Like Tez Johnson, I'm glad they put respect on his name. Torrey Horton had a monster game versus Colorado last year, which was nationally televised. He's a dog. Evan Stewart transfers over from Texas A&M. to Oregon. Now Oregon's in the Big Ten. I got to get used to that. That is so weird to see. Trey Harris got a lot of speed. So it's a nice room. It's a nice room for sure. I actually use this compare tool again to compare Travis Hunter, Tet McMillan, and Luther Burden. And EA, you got a lot of explaining to do because Luther Burden isn't number one for this trio in any category that you're showing us right now. He doesn't have the number one speed, acceleration, strength, awareness, jumping. I mean, if you know Luther's game, you know that dude is a freaking dog. Like, he's got that dog mentality. He'll run straight through your nose. I think he's the stronger receiver of these names, but I guess, you know, just a little bone to pick with EA. Yeah, hate me if you want, but I think Luther Burden should be the number one receiver in the game. And last thing we'll look at here, before we just look at, you know, the rest of the list over just briefly, is the tight end position. Colston Loveland. This guy was so fun to watch last year. I'm not surprised at all that they put him this high. You know, AJ Barner was at Michigan, and Loveland wasn't able to get like a full workload, but still 45 receptions, almost 700 yards for a tight end. That's pretty damn good. I mean, for example, like Brock Bowers had 700 yards, so he wasn't far off that. Colston Loveland's a freak athlete. I'm really glad that he is the number one tight end. And then you got Oscar Delp down here as a 90. I mean, look, Georgia's tight end you lately. It's either Georgia or Iowa. You know, Iowa's actually tight end you. I don't want to be disrespectful. It's Iowa. It's Iowa. Let's be honest for a second. But looking at the rest of the top 10, I just wanted to see if there's any other names that really stood out to me. You know, I'll be honest, I'm bigger on the offensive side of the ball because I have, you know, a dynasty channel. But I try to keep up with the defense as well. A lot of these names I'm not going to really know. Maybe you guys know them a little bit better. But it's cool to see. It's cool to see this top 100. I wonder who you guys think got snubbed. Let me know. Oh, all right. Our school, Virginia. We got Jonas Sanker. Strong safety, 92 overall. We love to see that, baby. Shout out to Jonas. I did not think any Virginia Cavaliers would be in the top 100. How about out of the Sun Belt Conference, Old Dominion, Jason Henderson, a right outside linebacker? Hell yeah. Jacksonville State has a left guard in the top 100. I mean, this is actually pretty cool to see. Any other like low-key surprises here? SMU has a guard in the top 100. Like any other schools that were like, damn, I did not expect that school to have someone in the top 100 here. No, these are all relatively big schools. Liberty is a pretty big school at this point. So, hey, shout out to Old Dominion. I did not think we would see any Old Dominion players. Let's shuffle by conference before we end the video here. But the Sun Belt, we saw someone from the Sun Belt. Was there only one player? There's only one player from the Sun Belt. So shout out to the guy from Old Dominion, Jason Henderson. Big shout out to you. I wonder, let's see, let's go like the MAC, like some like just random conference. I want to see the MAC. I want to see the Conference USA as well, and the AAC. All right, let's have a look. What players from these conferences are in there? All right, well, it says no data found, so it's going to screw us over. But anyway, that is the top 100. Let me know what you guys think. I'm hella excited for this game to come out. Subscribe if you want to see me play some Road to Glory mode and some Dynasty mode. Still choosing between what school I'm going to do. Yesterday, I released a video about that. Go check it out. You guys have been super helpful. I've loved all the comments, loved all the people from the University of Virginia that have been commenting. And Eastern Carolina seems to be a real fan favorite, so I might add them into my top 10. But yeah, all love. I'll see you guys soon. And I know you're just as excited as me, but don't worry. We're close. We're very close now.